Next guy, Kyle O'Brien, has really only worked with 2 successful brands. So I don't know why we're going to bring him on stage, except that one of the brands is Chobani and the other is La Colombe. So there's really something in what he says and what he does that works, and it really works from the start. In the case of Chobani, he came in with 0 sales on the board, and in the case of La Colombe, it was with the barest scrap of a CPG sales operation. And at each company, as the EVP of sales, he's been able to take the work of a driven, operations-focused, highly innovative founder and quickly produce a sales strategy and organization that allows a brand to start sprinting toward revenue growth. At the heart of it, as we'll hear, is this careful calibration between what happens at the back of the house, where that innovator works their magic, and the front of the house, where sales and marketing get it out to the world. So I'd like you to please welcome Kyle O'Brien.
Well, hello, everybody. Thank you, Jeff. That was very nice. I actually worked with 3 brands. When I was in high school, I worked for the best pizza shop in Fort Mill, South Carolina, and it was an amazing brand, Village Pizza. If you're ever there, go check it out. But no, thank you. This isn't a typical day for a nomad food and beverage salesman, so getting up here on stage is quite a privilege. So what I want to share with you is just a little bit of the story. A lot of it relates to what Dr. Richardson said and what Jason said about relationships. You know, that is the key, and I'll show you a couple formulas that I used over the years to get ramped up. On the Chobani front, so just to give you a quick snapshot of what happened there, in 2006, I met that crazy, amazing, innovative guy named Hamdi. We didn't have a brand, we didn't have product in a cup, and we didn't have any money. So hopefully that's a little encouraging for those of you just starting a business. We quickly went to work on figuring out what the packaging needed to look like and continue to test the innovation. And then in 2007, October of 2007, we shipped our first 300 cases into the beautiful city of New York, because we believe that if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. So fast forward today, now you've got a multi-billion-dollar company, starting with just 5 people, and now well over 2,000 across the US and Australia. So through that growth, you have to figure out, and so this is in 2006, so I'm still fairly young at that point. Had some good experience on my belt in the food business, both in food service and in retail. But when you jump in and the growth starts to take off, it's like, okay, how do I keep everybody's head above water, right? How do I keep sales trucking in a positive, exciting direction, even when we have a little dip or a screw up initially with product or what have you? And then how do we keep the back of the house excited and really looking forward to each week of growth, being that there's such 2 completely different scenarios. When you're an outside sales guy or gal, you're traveling around, you're flying on planes, you're going to dinners, doing all that fun stuff, and then you've got your operations people that are just working day and night to make sure that you have whatever it is, a perfect cup every time or a perfect can in every hand. So I did that, perfect can in every hand. That's the way we speak at La Colombe. But so one scenario is, how does this work? I didn't make a rehearsal here, so I don't know. Okay, all right. So the first thing that I focused on is making sure that everybody, and that's with La Colombe now as well, because let me set the stage with La Colombe. So La Colombe being a 25-year-old company that has cafes in multiple cities around the US, founded by Todd Carmichael, this amazing guy and his best friend, and they've roasted coffee for all those years, and they've been great at servicing their customers in their cafes. But jumping into manufacturing a product and launching it nationwide and going from less than truckload to truckload as quickly as possible is the goal. you have to become a member of the Pick Society. So this is something that my dad told me. Anybody ever heard of the Pick Society? Maybe? No? He says he made it up, so I guess he did. But he said, son, you're always going to have to be different from the other guys, and that you're going to have to always be persistent, insistent, and consistent. And the reason why I have Wegmans up here is because when we went to Wegmans, of course, Wegmans is like my favorite chain of grocery stores. Yeah, you too? You feel me. They said to me, as I sat in front of them, they wanted to take our yogurt at the time. Greek yogurt wasn't really, it was nothing. Wanted to take our Greek yogurt and wanted to put it over in just the corner in the natural set. And our goal was always the commitment to be able to provide delicious, nutritious, natural, and affordable food to everyone. So I had to politely and regretfully at the time say, I'm sorry, but we can't do that. So if you ever change your mind, you want to put it in the conventional set, we'd love to do that. So I walk out with my tail between my legs, feeling terrible, and they probably couldn't believe that I actually did that. But as Dr. Richardson said, keyword, patience. If you're patient, you stay committed to your innovation and the quality of the product and what your mission is, it'll come. And sure enough, because we live by way of the Pick Society, sure enough, Wegmans came along and we quickly became the #1 selling brand in Wegmans. The same thing goes on the La Colombe side. We're very committed to having the persistent effort to get in front of the right category manager. Everybody says, oh, it's beverage, so you're going to go directly compete immediately with Coke and Pepsi and Frappuccino, and they're all merchandised in the grab-and-go set, which is a beautiful set. But when we were trying to figure out where to merchandise this thing, as soon as I saw it, I said, wait a minute, 80% of what's in this can is milk. So let's go to the dairy department. You can buy your creamers there. You can buy lots of morning items, obviously, and the dairy department, along with the produce department, is the most heavily traveled department. So I immediately went, and I was persistent in my mission to get in front of the dairy folks, insistent that it be merchandised right there, and made it consistent across all channels of industry. So whether it's natural or the conventional guys, et cetera. So that is a very simple acronym, and one that I think that if you guys can implement that in your journey here on a day-to-day, you'll find that it'll work for you as well. If it doesn't, blame my dad. It's his fault. He came up with it. Another one, it was funny because trying to get sales and operations to continuously communicate with one another as you grow. You go from 0 to 1 billion or 0 to 1 million even, whatever the number is. I was trying to figure out, because we started to silo and things were happening, we were getting so big and so quick. I thought, well, I better come up with another acronym. I can't just let my dad come up with these acronyms. So and I wanted to keep it dairy-based or farm-based. So I went back to my childhood. I don't know who said that. I think maybe Jason said something about going back to when he was a kid. But this is the one I came up with, E-I-E-I-O. And so without going into too much, but you'll get the idea, you have to stay engaged, right? As the leaders of the leadership team that starts the business, we have to stay engaged no matter how big it gets within all departments. Certainly don't want to over-micro, but you should probably micro a little bit for quite a while. You need to inspire. That's not just by cheerleading, and high-fiving people in the hallways. You should do that, I think. But inspiration comes from, I like to prove that the inspiration can come from my effort. What I do day in and day out, and that therefore inspires others to do the same. Encourage everybody to own their business unit, whatever it is, whether it's an accounts receivable person or a customer service or whoever it is, that make sure that they know that they need to own that business, including a line operator in the manufacturing plant. If they do that, they've got a job for as long as we're around, right? If they don't, there's a line a mile long of people that want their job. So you really need to encourage them and remind them to really own their business unit. Infiltrate. That's a good one, because what you don't want, as we all know, is we don't want everybody hanging out at the water cooler trying to, somebody trying to ruffle feathers, you know, they all sneak their way in. There's always one or two guys or gals that sneak into the system and try and screw it up for whatever reason. So you need to infiltrate, constantly pay attention to what everybody's doing. You know, don't forget to go and talk to every single person in the company at some point, just to make sure, keep your eye on. And then if you do that, if you do EI, you will O. You will optimize the opportunity that you have in front of you. So it's a really easy acronym to remember. It must be used, and I remind our guys all the time, all of our managers and leaders, that don't forget about this silly little acronym, because it's really, really important. And if you remind everybody week in and week out, and they do it, you're going to optimize. There's no way around it. It's just, that's the way it's going to work, and you're going to be successful. Another one. Another one. Sorry, I know it's a lot of acronyms, but this one is this one's great because along with Dr. Richardson and Jason, they talked about relationships, like I mentioned earlier. But this one, so we were at a stage where we were at about 150 million, and I could see people starting to get nervous. You know, we're getting really big, and lots of trucks coming and going and doing all that stuff. And I was actually at church on Sunday. I'm not getting all biblical on you, but I was at church on Sunday. I always recap like what my week before was about, and then what I needed to do in the week ahead. And I was thinking about, okay, man, I've got to keep everybody focused here. And all of a sudden, I heard this great equation. It was actually designed for families, like if you have family and kids, and it's R plus R minus R equals R, which is as you grow as a family, which you do in business, you're a family, you'll have more rules plus regulation. Everybody knows in the early days you don't have an HR department, you don't have any rules that you have to follow, and you can really be nimble and kind of make decisions. So R plus R, rules, there'll be more rules plus regulation, minus a relationship equals rebellion. So minus a relationship with your kids, as these rules and regs come, someone's going to rebel, and then you're going to have somebody, if you don't have a relationship, someone's going to rebel, right? So I thought, that's it. That's our business. That's it. That's what's happening. We've got more strict rules. We've got more regulation. And I remind everybody, you better have a relationship with the person that sits next to you or that you work with in the plant. So again, tying in sales and operations. They're there by design. You don't have to hang out with them or have a beer with them, go to dinner with them, but they're there by design to complement you. You guys better figure it out so that you have a relationship so that no one rebels. In fact, it goes from minus R to plus relationship equals reward. So, and you'd be pleasantly surprised how effective these little acronyms are. And that's the last one. I'm not going to pop up another one, but so that's pretty much my pitch for you on between combining sales and operations. And I think Jeff has a couple questions for me.
One of the things I want to roll back to is this early moment when you and Hamdi met, and you're aware that he's got this idea for dairy and for yogurt, and as you've told me in the past, he's out there, and you're in here. You're very grounded. And how do you help that CEO understand that there's a strong place for them with an innovation space and an inspirational space, and that they need to give you they need to have the confidence in you to do the front of the house?
Right. Well, I think in that scenario, you have to give kudos to him for being willing to let go. I mean, in the first 5 years, our relationship certainly has grown and grown and grown over the years. And but I said, I've got this, and you need to trust me. And frankly, I said, I've got your back. And you make sure there's a perfect cup every time, and I'll make sure that the rest of the world gets that perfect cup. And and it just worked that easily. I wish I had like some amazing formula or story to tell you, but it was really that simple. I mean, the only reason why I was fortunate enough to be part of that story and making Greek yogurt change the industry forever was because I knew a guy who, in the food distribution business, said, "Hey, come meet this fella." And when I met him, I said, "Okay." A couple things came to mind real quick. We had dinner at a Turkish restaurant. First thing was that, oddly enough, this kind of comes full circle, that I would never drink Turkish coffee again because it was extremely strong, and that this guy had a really big idea, and he was willing to let those who know the different areas of the business let him run with it, and he was just very clear on that, so it made it easy.
So it's a certain self-awareness within the CEO to say, I know what I'm good at.
Yep.
Now that coordination between manufacturing and sales, how does that manifest on a daily or weekly or a monthly basis?
Yeah, well, it certainly comes down to communication with whoever's running your manufacturing operation. We were and still are very much focused on only selling products that we can make, that we can control the process from A to Z. And really, it's as the guy leading sales for now La Colombe, it's just really, it's really consistent communication every single day with the plant on what's happening there, what could be coming on our side, what is coming on our side. It's just, it comes down to communication.
How would you adapt this if you were going to outsource that production model?
Well, I think it'd be the same. I certainly would make sure that we had a key person on the floor inside that co-packing operation.
I mean, you guys have done some outsource in the past, right?
No.
With Chobani?
Nope.
No? Okay.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Nope. To date, it's always been in-house.
But if I was going to try and scale it on a co-pack base, you recommend someone in the plant?
Absolutely. Have your key guy or gal from a quality standpoint and just production management, in that plant every single day.
Now,
lose the time.
Now, with regard to these structural ideas in terms of building Salesforce and communicating with manufacturing, there have to have been some pivots along the way. So what are the biggest adjustments that both companies have made, and what have you learned from them?
Well, timing is really, really important because as you scale up, you have, in both scenarios, like with La Colombe, we have a technology and a process that nobody else in the world has ever done. So that means we don't have machines coming off a shelf that we can just order and get in a couple months. So same thing happened with Chobani. The separators weren't readily available. People weren't making it. You couldn't get it. So as you start to grow, you really have to. You're rolling the dice a bit on when you say, okay, flip the switch, place the PO, and that product arrives in time so that you don't get phone calls from the retailers or your customers saying, where the heck's my product?
Yeah, no, so that's like the classic demand problem, right? You can't make it fast enough. Mm-hmm. A lot of times we'll hear, well, I've shuffled stuff just to my best customers, or, we've spread, lesser performing SKUs to people who are still developing. What's been your response? Is it just don't ever be in that position?
Well, I would like to say don't ever be in that position. Actually, I will say don't ever be in that position. But you're probably going to be in that position. So I think that transparency with your customers is critical, right? You have to get out ahead of it. You don't want, the head buyer at Costco Midwest calling you saying, hey, what the heck's going on? Why are my orders being shorted every week now for the last 3 weeks? You need to pick up the phone. Actually, you don't need to pick up the phone. You need to get on an airplane and you need to go sit in front of them and you need to say, hey, here's what's happening. Here's where we are. Here's how the issue we're having, and here's how we're going to fix it, and this is the timeline in which we're going to do it. Trust me, I've had to do that a lot over the years, and It's amazing when you get done getting your verbal whipping at the retailer, because as we all know, they're not afraid to do that. And rightly so. They deserve product that they order because you committed to it. But by the end of the conversation, it's just, do me a favor, please just get me product as soon as you can. I understand what you're going through. So, yeah, so that's it. Communication with them, face to face.
Have you done that in an environment in which it's highly competitive?
Yes.
And how does that factor in? I mean, are there concessions that need to be made to the retailer to?
Well, I can tell you that on the competitive side, I'm not sure if they follow some of the larger brands. I'm not sure if they follow that same Operation Bear Hug, is what we call it, philosophy. I think it's more about, you see a lot of guys, get a letter from some senior VP out in some state and says, hey, by the way, we're going to be out of product and you'll get some in 6 weeks. So it's just it's a pretty simple formula, I think. It's all about customer relationship management, as both the guys before me have stressed. So yeah.
So you're 2 for 2 on picking these amazingly innovative products that can scale quickly. What's the tip off for you? And yeah, so what is the tip off for you?
Yeah, I think a little bit of luck, but I think when you try something that Jason was talking about, the quality of food. When you try something and you go, whoa, that's a sign. You got to pay attention to the signs, and was fortunate enough to do that with the yogurt, and certainly when I popped the first can of La Colombe, which you all are enjoying, I hope. I popped that and I drank it, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute, this is big. This is 2.0, and luckily we have Todd Carmichael, who's he's a great innovator. And so, I just kind of go with my gut, really. Packaging is critical. I love packaging.
Packaging is critical. Entrepreneurs, particularly founders, believe in their products, but sometimes they get so down in the weeds with them that they don't always have that whoa moment. They get too comfortable. So what's the best way for them to know they're on the right track?
Well, I think that if you're in sales, certainly the numbers make them pretty happy. But you have to keep your feet on the ground mentality. It's sometimes the brand starts to get a little bit of success behind it, and I've seen it happen so many times where 1 or 2 people from the founding level just don't keep their feet on the ground. You can quickly fix it, but I think it's just going into it knowing that it could be gone tomorrow is really, really important. Keeps you focused.
Now, you're out there investing and advising on your own a little bit. Mm-hmm. What are you looking for? What are you looking at?
Well, I like the baby food category, so
You got a baby.
I got a baby. Finnegan Patrick. So I definitely like that category. I like the pet space. I love La Colombe Draft Latte. That's the baby. So, but I think those 2 categories. I hear a lot of discussion about that in retailers. That those are 2 categories that are. And when I say baby food, fresh baby foods.
Fresh baby food is where it's at.
Yep.
How far do you think HPP has to go in the food space?
Before everybody knows what the heck it is? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's much longer. I think. Lord knows there's enough big investments being done out there to handle the HPP process, from the retailers in their own manufacturing facilities to these big independent guys out on both coasts that are investing tons and tons of money in it. So I think it's going to be really a household understanding fairly quickly.
And are you looking to find innovators in that space right now who can help scale it on the food side as
Absolutely.
well?
Yeah. And we've I think I say we because I have invested in the small business. But there's lots of good options out there, which is great. So you kind of have this A plan, B plan, C plan mentality, so you won't be hung out to dry. There's enough manufacturers out there to do it for you, so you're protected.
All right. Hey, thank you so much, Kyle.
Yeah. Thank you.